Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining me. Today we're going to go over my 2021 loadout and my 2022 loadout. Some things have changed. I've got some new items coming in. I've got some new items that have already arrived. So I'm excited to share this stuff with you, so stick around. All right, today we're going to start with the big three. Everybody talks about the big three. That's your shelter, that's your sleep system, and that's your backpack. I started out looking at backpacks about a year and a half ago, and there's so many things out there. And just getting started, I wanted to get something simple, something comfortable, something that worked for me, but yet carried a fair amount of equipment for me. So I started out with the Osprey Atmos 50 liter. That's this guy right here. I really enjoyed it. It is very comfortable. I took it on my trip to Mohican a few times. I also took it on my trip to Oil Creek, and it was a very comfortable backpack. The waistbands were great. The shoulder straps were great. Very comfortable pack. The downside of is it is a bit heavy. It weighs in at about 4.6 pounds. So I started looking around because my pack weight started getting up into the 30s, and I'm an old man, so I don't want to have to deal with all that fun stuff there. And I started looking around, watching a lot of videos, watching what people's reviews were, and decided upon buying the Z-Pack's Arc Air 50 liter framed pack. And that's this guy right here. I really like this pack. He only weighs in at a little over a pound. It's got the Lycra, just like the Osprey does. You can add pockets on the side. You can add pockets on the shoulder straps. You can do all kinds of really cool stuff on it. It's very light. I can fit a lot of stuff in there. You just don't want to pack it down too, because I did try to put too much stuff in there. Popped one of the stays out, which was no big deal because you could pop it right back in. But it's a great pack. So that's my choice that I have, depending on if I want to go a little heavy, go a little lighter, or if my wife joins me, I'll give her the lighter pack and I'll take the heavier one. The next item we're going to talk about is your shelter system. I actually have two shelter systems. I started out with a hammock. I've got the Darien Dream hammock, and I really like this product. It comes with a two-sided stuff sack. It squishes down pretty far, and I actually sleep better and feel more comfortable in a hammock than I do in a tent. And we'll talk about my tent setup here in a minute. But I really like this hammock. I actually bought the 11-foot hammock. I'm only about 5'7", 5'8", and I know I should probably have done like a 10-foot hammock. But I like the 11-foot hammock. It gives me more room to kind of stretch out, sleeping at a 45-degree angle. But I really love this hammock. I use it primarily in the spring and the summer. Sometimes in the fall, and depending on wind. I did go out one time this year to Mohican, Site 10, which sits up on kind of a ridge, and it was very windy, and this thing turned into a parachute, went sideways. I need some more experience on setting up in the wind is what's going on. But this is a great hammock. I really enjoy it. It does very well for me. It is very comfortable. This is my go-to. With my hammock, I have a Sil Poly tarp, which this one I've got folded and wrapped up. It is a 12-foot tarp that I bought from Hammock Gear, and I really like it. The only thing about Sil Poly is when it gets wet or rain, it will kind of absorb that water and keep it in there. I do like it though. It's a fairly light tarp, and I did decide this year, and that's one of the items that I've got coming, is I did purchase a Dyneema tarp with doors. This has doors on it as well, which I really like. And then I just bought a Dyneema tarp with doors, so I'm really looking forward to doing that. With my Dyneema tarp, though, I am going to try and do some tarp camping. I watch Bryce Nebold. Everybody probably knows Bryce, and he's been doing a lot of tarp camping, and I've really got an interest in that. So with my Dyneema tarp, I think I'm going to try some tarp camping. My next sleep shelter is the Z-Pack's Duplex. Everybody has heard of this guy. I started watching videos, and I did want a tent system, primarily for my wife and I to go backpacking in. And she hasn't gone yet, but we'll get her out there. Two-person tent-ish. it's very, very light. It comes in at like a pound. I'll list all the weights for all of this here in the description. But it's very light, very easy to set up. It just takes 2 trekking poles, 6 stakes, and very, very easy to use, very easy, very light. I really like the tent when it comes to the times I want to use a tent. Moving on to my sleep system. My sleep system for my hammock is primarily a top quilt and an under quilt. For my 3-season gear, I have a 40-degree top quilt from Hammock Gear, and I have a 30-degree under quilt, which you can see behind me here. I have a 30-degree under quilt from Hammock Gear as well that I use. For my tent side of things, I do have a Nemo Tensor sleeping pad. This is the insulated version, and it's pretty comfortable. It's about 3 inches thick when it's fully blown up. I fit on it just fine, and it is pretty comfortable. It's not like sleeping in a king bed right at home, but from a cushiony standpoint, comfort level, it's pretty comfortable, and it is insulated, which I do like as well. So this is part of my sleep system in my tent, and I use my 40-degree top quilt from Hammock Gear to cover up in 3 seasons. Some of the things I do have coming, which we'll talk about a little bit later. I have a 0-degree top quilt, actually, that I currently have, which is this guy down here, right over here. You can see how big this is in the sack. And I have a 0-degree under quilt that is coming as well. So I can do winter camping in my hammock. I'm really looking forward to that. Along with my sleep system, I have this pillow. I have a smaller pillow. It's a blow up, and I wasn't very comfortable at all. I don't typically use a pillow in my hammock. I'm a side sleeper, and I get real comfortable in my hammock without a pillow. However, when I use my tent and my sleeping pad, I do like to have a pillow to use. I tried that blow up one, was not comfortable at all. This is a Thermarest compressible pillow, so it compresses down to about the size of a Nalgene bottle, and it decompresses then and gets really nice and fluffy, and it takes maybe about 10 or 15 minutes to fully come up, and really is a very comfortable pillow. I use this only when I tent camp, never when I'm hammock camping. So that's my big 3: my sleep system, my backpack, and my shelter. One of the things I do take with me as well for my shelter is a Tyvek for both my hammock and my tent. It's just a ground cloth. I don't use it as a protector underneath. Basically, it's just to put muddy shoes. I lay my backpack on it. I'll actually set this in the vestibule of my tent. It unfolds pretty big, and I'll set this in the vestibule of my tent to put shoes and try not to drag in too many leaves or dirt or whatever, and just to try and keep my tent as clean as possible because it was a very expensive tent. So moving on to just some random gear that I have here that I really enjoy using. Let's start with my trekking poles. So my trekking poles are just the slide out ones. It's got the thumb release that slide out to whatever measurement you want. You can lock them in place then. These are Leckies. I purchased these at REI, and they work very well for me. They're carbon fiber. They're light. I like the cork handles. They're very comfortable. The straps aren't too bad. I know some people use them, some people don't. I'm a downhill skier, and I use straps on my downhill poles, and actually almost broke my thumb one time. But as I'm hiking, I'm starting to learn to use these straps a little better. I understand what they're for that. So I really like these trekking poles here. Another item I have here is when I get to camp, I like to have something to kneel on when I'm starting a fire, or something that will I can use to help air the fire out. And this is the Thermarest Z-Pad. Very light, very compact. Everybody has probably seen one of these before. It's a great pad. You can use it to put on a log and sit down, or just sit on the ground. Kneel on if you're processing firewood, getting fire going, or whatever else you're doing there. It's great. Works very well. Now, for my luxury item at my camp is always going to be my chair. I'm an old man, and my chair, I got to have a chair. I know there's pros and cons. Some people are like, chairs are terrible. Other people are like, chairs are great, got to have it. This is the Helinox Chair Zero, and it weighs in at about a pound. I really like this chair. It works out very well for me. It doesn't take up too much room. Again, it's very light, and it does its job. Really enjoy this chair. You've probably seen it in my other videos. In fact, I definitely guarantee you've seen it in my other videos, because I take it every time I go. Let's move over into what I take with my backpack. I actually have a Z-Packs Fanny Pack here. It's made out of Dyneema. There's enough room in here for what I need to take in here. What stays in this bag is a pocket knife, which is just your standard little Swiss Army knife. It's got some scissors. It's got some a couple of blades on it, things of that nature, in case I need it for anything. And I also, because my Z-Packs doesn't have a whistle, I do have a safety whistle. You should always have a safety whistle with you, no matter where you go. And it's just one I bought on Amazon. You can get them anywhere. Just search on Amazon. This is a great fanny pack. Definitely one thing I'm glad I bought, because as anybody has ever used a backpack, those pockets on the hip belt, you can't reach them. You can get them open, but a lot of times you can't get them closed, and they're just a big pain in the butt. I typically store items there that I'm going to get out of my backpack at camp rather than on the trail. So any snacks, trail mix, whatever I'm going to do, or you try to get accessibility to, my phone, things of that nature go into this fanny pack, and it works very, very well for that. I really, really like that fanny pack. Rain gear, I'm just a simple guy. It's just a Frog Togs rain gear. I don't take the pants, I just take the top. I know Bryce cut his pants into some shorts, which is a great idea actually, but the Frog Togs top seems to be working well for me. That's what I use for my rain gear. Let's move over to the cook system. So I do have a cup, an insulated cup that comes out of its insulation. It's the GSI Outdoors cup. It's got a handle on it. It does have an insulated cup. And what I like about the cup itself as well is not only does it have a sip thing here, but you can also, it has a measuring on here. So you can actually measure out 1 cup, 2 cups, whatever you want, if you don't have the volumetrics on your pot, which I do not. My pot does not have the metrics on the side of the pot. Speaking of my pot, I made myself a pot koozie. You guys can find videos out there all over the place for a pot koozie. It's made out of Reflectix and duct tape. Very, very easy to make. Very easy very easy to make. My pot is a Toaks 700 milliliter pot. Here, it's got the handles on it. Sitting on your stove. It has a lid so that you can keep a lid on it so that the water boils much more quick. And then inside my pot, I keep my Fancy Feast. I keep my Fancy Feast stove. I really love this thing. I made actually 2 of them. I gave one to my nephew. It's an alcohol stove. If you haven't seen it, just get on YouTube and search for Fancy Feast stove. Frozen from Outdoors Adventures has a really good walkthrough on how to make it. It's basically Fancy Feast can that you cut down. It is I believe it's tomato paste can that you cut down and poke some holes in it. And then you use a welder's cloth as the wick inside. I don't know if you guys can see that very well, which absorbs the alcohol and acts as a wick whenever you are using it as a stove. This is just a medicine cap measurement cup that I use just to put an ounce or half an ounce of alcohol in it when I need it. And of course inside the pot is my Bic, and I also use a titanium windshield for windy days, just to protect the flame so that it stays hot during those windy conditions. And everything just folds right back into the pot, and I pack it all the way inside of my Koozie, and then that slides into either my food bag or slides into my backpack on one of the pockets. It's a great tool. I really like it, and it works very, very well. Speaking of food bag, I use the Z-Pack's large Dyneema food bag here. You can pick that up at Z-Pack's. I also got the Bear Bag kit, which also comes with, it's like 50 foot of paracord and a rucksack. You can get that at Z-Pack's on their website as well. Let's talk about, my spoon. I have a long-handled Tokes titanium spoon that I use. I don't use a spork, I use a spoon. Long handle, just so you can get inside of your, whether you're doing a Mountain House meal or if you're doing a, quart freezer bags, Ziploc freezer bags. This is great so you don't get your hands all messy, but a long-handled spoon is very, very important to use. Let's move over to kind of my footwear and what I use for socks and what have you. So I actually use the Ultra Lone Peak 5.0s. I love these shoes. They're very comfortable. It's a 0 degree drop, which means there's no angle. Like most shoes have an angle on them to where you're actually kind of sitting up. This is 0 degrees, so from heel to toe, it's flat. So anybody who can't get used to that or doesn't get used to that, your calves are going to be hurting. They're going to be rocking for a while. I love these shoes. They're very, very comfortable. One thing I needed to do though is I do have a bit of a high arch, so I needed to put a insole in them that has a little bit of arch support, and I actually chose the Superfeet Trailblazers. Get this guy out of here. It actually has a little bit of carbon fiber on the bottom for the support, but these are phenomenal insoles. Look them up. It's got a little gel cushion on the heel, and then the carbon fiber here for your support, and then this is just foam. But you custom cut them down to your shoe. It's a great insole. Like I said, it's a very comfortable insole. It just slides right in once you cut it down, and I love this shoe setup. Going out this weekend, it's supposed to be 11 degrees on Saturday night. I'll be wearing these. Not waterproof at all, but they dry very quickly. Looking forward to using these this weekend. So how I keep my feet dry and warm. I did a lot of research on waterproof socks, and I chose to do the Sealskins waterproof socks. There's a couple of different styles out there, some for warmer weather and some for colder weather. This particular pair I have in my hand are for a little bit colder weather, so they're a little thicker. But there's a membrane, I assume it's like a Gore-Tex or a plastic membrane woven into the sock or in between the layers here. It works great. I have used these socks whenever I go, if it's wet or in the morning when it's dewy. My feet do not get wet. I've gone through creek crossings. As long as you don't go above the sock line, my feet stay dry. Now, I did make the mistake, and I should have wore a sock liner, and this was a rookie mistake last year when I went to Oil Creek. I did wear these, and you can see that video up here. I did end up wearing these, and my feet were very sweaty in there, and I actually did get a blister. And I guess I didn't do enough research, but you need to wear a sock liner or another pair of socks in here. So this weekend when I go, I'll be wearing these particular socks because they're for cold weather, and I'll also have a pair of light, just generic hiking socks that my daughter bought me for Christmas. But they're very comfortable hiking socks, and they're not too thick. They're not smart wools. Like if I try to put my foot in the smart wool sock and then this sock, probably wouldn't fit it in my shoe. But the other sock that I have, it's a nice, comfortable, thin hiking sock that I'm going to put in with these Sealskins in my shoe, and looking forward to using these this weekend. It's going to provide comfort, warmth, and keep my feet dry with my Lone Peak Ultras. So, also for winter hiking, I have My hand gloves here, they are supposed to be waterproof. I haven't really tried them for waterproof, but my hands typically stay pretty warm when I'm hiking. They are cold starting out, but as I get going, they do stay warm. These are like Sirius Treem, I believe they are. I got them from REI. They work very, very well for me for hiking and just, you know, while I'm moving. Sitting around a camp, I do take some hot hands with me in case I get, you know, much colder, but I'll be using these this weekend as well for that. Buffs. Everybody knows the buff. I take 2 with me. I have one that I use and I take it around my neck. If it's hot out, I use it as a sweat rag and put it around my neck or whatever. And then I use one for picking up the hot pot or anything I need to during I'm cooking or cleaning or whatever it might be. So again, I use one buff for my food in my cooking area, and I use my other buff for the sweat. And no, I don't get them mixed up because this one's either on me or it's in my tent, and this one stays with in my food bag, so I know exactly which one is which. So buffs, get yourself one. You can use a handkerchief. You can use a dish towel. You can use whatever you want, but you always need some type of a rag for your pot and picking it up, or something to pick up that hot handle. And you also need something for your sweat. You need something regardless. And then, of course, I do have a small stuff sack. It's quite small, and I got to go through it again and kind of condense a bunch of stuff that's here. But inside this sack are things that I need to take. First aid kit is in here, Advil, or vitamin A as people call it, a couple of Band-Aids, some Neosporin. I also have a small kit of stuff. You know, everybody, you know, you start watching these videos and people are talking about, you know, I wish I had, you know, 10 foot of cordage, or I wish I had this, or I wish I had that. Well, I took a small Ziploc bag, and it's not a for frozen bag, but it's just a regular Ziploc bag, sandwich bag. I wound up some cordage. I have an S-beaner in there. I've got, you know, just whatever I may need, whatever I can think of I may need on the trail for repair or just adding line or whatever it might be. So that's what this bag is for. I did order a Dyneema bag, so it's a little bit lighter, and it's a roll top bag. It's waterproof, so I'm going to transfer my first aid kit. I'm going to transfer that little utility bag and everything over to that. And this is actually a stuff sack for my polysil tarp for my hammock. So I'm going to put my tarp back in this bag, but this is what I've been using it for, and it works very well, and it just packs away nice inside of my bag. And then everybody's got themselves a poop kit. Everybody's got the poop kit. So you've got the trowel, it's a deuce of spades, and a little bit of toilet paper. And then John Kelly mentioned these wussy wipes. And they're just little small pill looking things. They're about the size of a nickel. And they're just a towelette, more or less. They work great. You just put a little bit of water on them. Here they are. You just put a little bit of water on them, and they kind of expand out, and they are just a towelette. So you can use them after you get done doing your business. You can use them to wash up a little bit before dinner or breakfast or whatever it might be, or if it just needs some cool water, you know, wash your face off, whatever. They're great little items. They're pretty inexpensive. As everything else, you can get them on Amazon. So let's go through some electronics that I have here in front of me. I'm not sure if you can see them at all. The key, water. So my water filtration system is the Sawyer Squeeze. It's not the micro. It is the actual Sawyer Squeeze, and it works quite well for me. I have seen some videos on the platypus, and so I'm investigating that, and I may end up getting a platypus just to try out, but this Sawyer Squeeze has been doing a great job for me. Easy to use. You screw it on a water bottle and squeeze it out into a clean bottle. But that's my water filtration system. All right, electronics. What I use for filming, I have a GoPro 9, and I forgot to bring it down here to my little studio, but there's a GoPro 9 that I use. I like it. It has its quirks, and it when it comes to memory in it, I can't really film it in 4K. And it's just me. I don't have a big enough memory card in it to do that, but it's a decent camera. I like it for my hammock or my kayaking trips, things of that nature. But I do have the GoPro, and I recently purchased the iPhone 13 Pro, which is what I'm filming this on, and I'm able to film it in 4K. I've got it set up for 4K, 30 frames per second. I could go to 60 frames per second, but the difference in the quality from a human eye perspective is not that much on YouTube, so I decided just to keep it at 4K at 30 frames per second. Plus, it's a little faster upload there. So that's my videoing equipment. I do take my headlamp is the Nightcore, and you've seen these out there. They're like $30, somewhere around there, and they come with a much thicker strap. I actually did the mod with the shock cord on it. Very easy to do. Look it up on YouTube, but it's a great, it is actually a really great headlamp. I've actually used it here at home. My son and I were doing a project up in the attic, and we have no lights up there. So we had this on, and we used it all day long, pretty much, and never ran out of battery up in the attic. It does tilt. It's very comfortable. It's very light. This is a great headlamp. It's the Nightcore. I think it's the Nightcore 25. 3 levels of brightness. There's that, and then it also has the red light on it as well. And there's a couple of levels for the red light. Great headlamp. I highly recommend it. For safety, and you should always have something for your significant other, family, friends, whoever and also for your own edification. But have something. This is a Garmin InReach that I use, and I do like it. It does have an SOS button on the side. I can track my route. I can upload my route to my Garmin site. People can follow me. It's a great tool to have. It's light. It's easy to use. I would highly recommend getting some sort of a GPS device so that, if something happens, you can hit the SOS button and somebody's going to come rescue your tail. So hopefully that happens. In addition to that, I also have the Garmin Fenix 6 Solar. I just got this about a month or two ago, and looking forward to using that on the majority of my trips as well. I do like that. Another item that I have that I guess really isn't electronic, but it is kind of an electronic type device, and that's a Gigapump. It's the Gigapump 2.0. It actually is a pump that I use to blow up my Nemo sleeping pad, but it also has an LED light on it, and it doesn't look like I've got this one. Oh, there it is. But it's got an LED light on it that's pretty bright as well, that I use in my hammock, and I use it in my tent. I just use an S-beaner and hang it from the ridgeline. I put a ridgeline in my tent and hang it there so that you can see what's going on out there. For my camera system, I do use an Ultrapod. There's a lot of these out there as well. It's very, very light. I bought an adapter for my iPhone, so that just screws onto the top here, and then it has a ball swivel, so I can swivel it, 360 degrees. It has a Velcro, so you can either put it on a trekking pole, attach it to a branch if you're doing those walk-bys, and then it easily folds out into a tripod, and it's very stable, very easy to use, very light. This is a great utility. I enjoy using this. I used to have a heavier tripod that I was using on the trail, and this works perfect. And then to recharge, I have my daughter bought this for me. The brand name is a Blavor, Blavor. It's a 10 milliamp power bank is all it is. It does have a solar capability to try and keep some, hang it from the back of my pack on sunny days to try and keep some charge on it. But this, for my weekend trips, this does exactly what I need it to do. And it is a great, it's absolutely a great power bank for what I need. From a Reflectix standpoint, I did make this pouch here with Reflectix, and I'm going to try something this weekend when I go out, because it is supposed to be 11 degrees at night. And so what I'm going to do is put all of my electronics in this pouch to help keep them warm. I'm then going to take the fresh pair of socks I have for the next day, and I'm going to take both socks, and I'm going to put one hot hands into both of those socks, or one hot hand, 2 socks with one hot hand, fold that all up, put that in here with my electronics and of course my water filter, and then I'm going to sleep with it as well. So I'm hoping that between my body temp, being in Reflectix, a hot hand in my socks will help keep my electronics from draining their batteries because of the cold and keep my water filter from freezing up. I'll let you guys know how that worked out, but if it worked out, I'll do some sort of a tips video and kind of show what I did and why I did it and the results of that. So I'm looking forward to making that happen as well. A couple of things I did want to go into is I did, for winter camping, I did purchase a pack axe. I saw Bryce had a pack axe, and it's not cheap, but this is the pack axe that I decided to buy. It's from the Console Tool Company, and it is made in the USA. It's about 2 pounds. It's a 24-inch handle. It's not too bad weight-wise, and it fits right into both of my packs, either my Atmos, Osprey Atmos, or my Z-Packs Arc Air. It fits in the pack easily. It easily stays on the side in the pocket. So I'm looking forward to using this weekend and seeing how that all works out for me. So that's what I primarily used in 2021 and will be using in 2022. The only additions for 2022 are going to be this pack axe and my iPhone 13, as well as the 0 degree quilts. My 0 degree top quilt, my 0 degree under quilt for my hammock, and of course my Dyneema tarp. So those are my 2022 and 2021 loadouts. If you've got any questions, please leave them in the comments below. Please subscribe. Please hit that like button if you liked what you see. Let me know what you like, what you don't like, and thank you for watching. And since you was outside, go have some fun.